With the recent showcases of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, we've gotten to see a lot of how the game will not only play, but look. But the question is, how hard did you look? There are many things that are returning from the old BT games, and today I'm here to point out as many of them as I can. And at the end, I'll be going over new official information from Bandai Europe regarding the game's UI and other functionalities. So, make sure to stay tuned for that. However, before I get into it, I just want to preface that a lot of the footage I use in this video is borrowed from incredible Dragon Ball creators, such as Dato Doya, Afro Senju, Siriax, Rhymestyle, and more. So, if you want to see raw gameplay, then I highly recommend you go check those guys out. Now, without any more hold up, let's get started. Throughout the BT series, there have been many different forms of buffing your characters, whether it was Bardock getting a simple physical attack and ki boost, or Raccoon getting super armor. This was a mechanic that a lot of characters were able to perform, with some buffs being Wild Sense or After Image, which would automatically teleport you out of harm's way and or counterattack. Either way, it seems that in Sparking Zero, these will be making a return, as seen with Goku going Kaioken Blue. Although, I'm curious if any new buffs will be present in this game. Like with Kaioken Blue Goku, maybe he gets a speed boost as well? Or maybe with Bergamo you can spend 2 stocks to get super armor, then you could absorb damage like from the anime! Post-script editing, I just want to say that in this footage, by Minato's Flash, we do see Bergamo using what looks to be a buff skill, and it just seems to give him every buff available. Although, at the time of this recording, we don't have exact details on how or if it works past that. On the flip side of things, it seems that ki exhaustion and other nerfs to your character will also be returning, unfortunately. In case you don't know what ki exhaustion is, in the original trilogy of BT, sometimes after a character uses an ultimate move, or sometimes after using a buff, your character would succumb to ki exhaustion, which then made it take longer to charge your ki, thus making it harder to pull off as many moves as you could regularly. On that same note though, I wonder if any characters will be capable of adding a nerf status to you. Say I'm playing Frost and I go for my ultimate or special move and you become infected with poison for a short while. Wouldn't that be fucking sweet? Moving on, we have confirmation that clashes will be returning. Don't you miss the days where you'd have to go to GameStop every other day or so in order to get new controllers since yours kept breaking from... Well then wait no more, because they are coming back. With the beam clashes now turning into a game of who can fill the most bars, and the melee clashes staying the same. Although now, we seem to have a new form of clash that can be done when you and your opponent try to grab each other at the same time. How fucking cool is that? I wonder if there will be any other unique forms of clashing. I also want to say that we now have confirmation that the way the clashes will work will depend on your controller scheme, whether you're playing in modern or classic controls, with modern being more reliant on button pushes for the clashes, and classic relying more on those good old thumbsticks that we all love so very much. Next up is infinite combos. These are combos that are, well, how do I put this? Infinite. Kind of. Once in max power, you can continuously mash square without your combo ending like it normally would. However, this only happens once you're in max power, and if your power runs out by the time you're still continuing your combo, it will just end. Thus, it's not a true infinite combo. The case seems to be the same in Sparking Zero, but I'm inclined to believe that the doors for combo opportunities are swung way more open this time around. Speaking of maxing out your ki though, it seems like water will still affect the rate at which your ki charges. In the older games, if you were submerged underwater during a fight and tried to charge up, it would be noticeably slower. As we can see in this footage here where Broly is charging his ki and it seems to be going a lot slower than usual. These games always strive to simulate an actual Dragon Ball fight, and of course this wouldn't be a Dragon Ball fight without some mad countering. In comes the Z counter, a tool that players can use to weave, counterattack, or simply evade. Of course all these options have their own names, such as the Sonic Sway, introduced in Budokai Tenkaichi 3, but they all fall under the stance of a Z counter. In Sparking Zero, these mechanics will be making a return like the rest on this list. However, I gotta say the visual presentation has gone through the roof for these moves, with Z counters now giving a little interaction cutscene, as we saw with Goku Black when he countered UI Goku's punch. At least, that's what I believe that to be. To me, it looks like Black just took his counter stance and then caught the punch. The next mechanic is Giants. Originally I was going to be more specific, but the following information only has to do with Giants, so... Giants. By the way, in case you weren't aware, you're a little over halfway through this video, so why not consider subscribing and leaving a like? It is free, you know. Whenever fighting a giant in the original games, there were only certain characters who could actually make them react to damage, or flinch. This mechanic seems to be returning with powerful characters like Gogeta being able to flinch Grade 8 Vegeta. However, something I didn't realize until watching into Kubo's video on the matter was that in the original trilogy, namely BT2 and BT3, no rush moves worked on giants, except for Super Saiyan 3 Goku's Dragon Fist, which makes sense as in the movie, Wrath of the Dragon, Goku uses this move to defeat Hirudegarn, so of course you could use it on a giant as well. Although, within Sparking Zero, this does not seem to be the case. Hopefully they change this by the time the game launches, because personally I think this is a huge thing to leave as is. Android characters are one of the staples of Dragon Ball, whether it's original, Z, Super, or GT, yeah. And as such, they were implemented in the BT games in a very special manner. You see, lorically, the androids have infinite reserves of energy, so they don't really need to charge ki. They also don't have access to ki abilities, so they couldn't even if they wanted to. So because of this, androids weren't able to charge up in the games with their ki building over time instead, only being able to actually charge when it's full in order to reach max power. This character type and its functions will be returning, health stealing and all. Oh yeah, they were capable of that too. Yeah, they couldn't ki charge, but they could steal your health and ki at the same time, and have a barrier to get you off of them whenever they so choose. So, that's lovely. One of my favorite things to do in any of the BT games is to form skip. I love being base Goku 1 second, then the next, boom! I'm Super Saiyan 3 ready to hit you with my Super Saiyan knee. And thankfully this is a mechanic that will be making it back into Sparking Zero as seen in this footage here. Now for the final mechanic on this list that will be returning is the tournament stage. But Zenril, that's not a mechanic, that's a map, I hear you kindly saying. And yes, you are correct, but any Dragon Ball gaming fan knows that the tournament stage is known for one thing and one thing only.
Bro is struggling. Got it. Please! Now he went for the finale punch. Oh. No way. Oh no! Damn, Dino, you started slightly. Ain't no way you sold that hard.
That's right. Knockouts will be returning in Sparking Zero's tournament stage. However, this time you'll be able to toggle the function if it really isn't your jam. And even if you do, there is a new animation that will play if you are to throw an ultimate attack. This actually blew me the f away. Not only does the show incredible polish, but if there are other maps that undergo a similar thing, then holy shit, this is the best Dragon Ball game in history. Now it's time to check out what all the hubbub is about. First, we have the official summary of what this update is all about: HUD, controls, and customization. Here we get a neat little breakdown of the game's HUD, with blast stocks now being called skill counts, and a new transformation icon. I'm not sure if this means that it will still cost a skill count in order to transform, or if that's simply an indicator that your character can transform. Then, like I mentioned earlier, we have a breakdown of the standard and classic controls with a display showing the differences when clashing, depending on the control scheme you use. After that, we get a basic rundown of gameplay, with Gohan and Piccolo being our testing dummies. Although right after that is the real meat. We get a display of a stats icon that shows us how stats are going to be spread among all the characters in the game, with the main stats being HP, attack, ki, special attack, and combo? I think the first 4 stats make a ton of sense, and they're very similar to what we see in something like Xenoverse, but combo? That makes me wonder if certain characters will just have little to no combo potential, and maybe these characters can beat you down in 2 hits or so? Or maybe this is just a stat that most of the cast will have relatively high, with Giants being the exception. Although underneath that, we get our first look at customization, with explanations on the use of costumes and accessories, with both being purely cosmetic. But some costumes will change your character's moveset, much like how it works in Xenoverse. We also get confirmation that capsule customization will be returning, meaning that you can go into the custom menu, upgrade the fuck out of Goku, and none of your friends will ever want to play with you. I love it. All in all, I'm excited as fuck to get my grubby little hands on these games. I know I usually upload Pokemon content on this channel, but I figure that if I'm incredibly excited about this game, then there's gotta be many more like me waiting to hear about the game. Don't worry, the usual content isn't going anywhere. In fact, I have a new Pokemon video already on its way. Thank you so much for watching this video. It really does mean the world to me, and thank you for all your support. Peace.